We have a very special guest on the podcast today. This is the closest we're going to get to a crossover episode. I can't wait for her to join, and I've really done my research here, so we're waiting for Vernon to join, and we're waiting for her to join, and let's get it going, because I'm excited. Alright. Let me invite Vernon first, my co-host, and then Jayne, I'll get to you in half a second. All right. There she is.
Hi.
Jayne, it's a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Forgive my crazy background. It's the craziest background. It's like sports figures and birthday cards from decades ago.
It's a nice background. I like it.
This is my co-host, Vernon. Our podcast is called DT and VT, so just to get right into it, we stream it on Zoom or Instagram Live, and then we put it on Apple Podcasts. Just like
nice.
yeah,
Nice to meet you both.
Hey, nice to meet you.
How are we? So I look a little bit tired. It's early in the morning here. I'm in Malaysia at the moment.
Hey, well, are you a morning person?
Yeah, I am, but for some reason, since I've been here, I just haven't been able to be a morning person. It's been so like gloomy and rainy, and I don't know, I just don't want to get out of bed in the mornings here for some reason.
Ever since 2020, that's been me. I think her Wi-Fi might have gone out, so we'll just reconnect. Let's see. Here, her Wi-Fi might have gone out. I love how I like cannot improvise right now. But yeah, so she told me she was over in Thailand, so she was 12 hours ahead of schedule. But I got to listen to her podcast, more well spoken than most Americans.
That's what's up. Yo, literally, my earbuds is like went dead or something like that because I can hear the audio live. Hold on a second.
All right. All right, let's try to restart this because the actual. All right, let's see. Let's accept it.
Hi guys, sorry about that. I'm not sure why it dropped out.
All right, there we go.
Oh, we're back at it.
Okay, can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you okay.
Hey, so where are you guys? Are you guys in New York? You're on the East Coast, or yeah?
Yep, New York, New York.
Nice.
Yeah,
I've been there a few times.
Oh, how'd you like it?
I loved it. I loved New York. I don't know if I was there long enough, and I also wasn't shown around by a local. I just went with my best friend, and we kind of just did whatever, but we had a really good time.
All right, that's great. Let's get right into it, because I know I kind of mapped out the time that you have. All right, so actually, I was telling Vernon while he was getting his earbuds and we were getting our Wi-Fi corrected. I had to actually show love for your podcast. The first episode, I listened to that one, and the one with your best friend. You were really able to, just articulate everything, and you like you said, you had a great memory. Suffered some concussions here and there, so just wanted to compliment you on that real quick.
Thank you. Thank you. I was so nervous starting because I've never really done anything like that before. And I've never really been like a great speaker, so I wasn't sure how I'd go. But I just thought, why not? Let's just give it a go. And yeah, that's how it started.
All right, Vernon, I'll let you get into it.
This is dope. So for those that don't know, I followed you, Jayne, for quite a while and everything and whatnot, as far as the LFL. And for a lot of people that don't know Legends Football League, now it's called the X League. Now they did a little rebranding and everything and whatnot. But overall, just literally with the LFL and your experience in your time period, what was that like for you being in the Legends Play Football League? Because that's really cool. Because when DT was telling me, he's like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get Jayne." I was like, "Jayne." He was like, "Jayne Caldwell. She used to play in the LFL." I was like, "I followed her and everything." So that's pretty dope.
Well, first of all, thank you for the follow and the support all these years. I really appreciate it. I feel like I had somewhat of a different journey to other people because I played in LFL Australia before I played in LFL US. So that was kind of my way into the league. Because I'm obviously Australian, you guys can tell. I played out in Australia for 1 year and I got recruited by American coaches to then come over and play in the States, which for me at the time, you know, I was so young. I was so excited to go over there and live in a new country and play a new sport. So yeah, got recruited to go play in the States. I played for Atlanta, Georgia my first year, and that was really cool, but I didn't start at QB. And that was cool for me because they said, you know what, like you're Australian, you don't really understand the position, just like sit and learn and you'll get your time, you know, in the future. And I was like, okay, fair enough. So that's what I did. And then the second year came around and LA was able to give me a start at QB. So I went there and played my first year as a starter in LA and we did really good. We only lost one game. And it was such an incredible experience, you know, like living in Atlanta and then LA. But I knew that my time in LA was kind of temporary because their starter actually got suspended for a season. So she was coming back the following year. And I was like, oh no, you know, I finally got a start and I want to continue playing. And I was lucky enough to be able to go play in Chicago for 2 years for the best team in the league at the time, who had the best head coach. And yeah, I ended up going out there and Quincy came with me. We played together in LA and then we went out to Chicago together. And our first year, we made it to the Eastern Conference Finals game, and we ended up losing to Atlanta, which was really heartbreaking. But then the next year, we came back and we went undefeated. We won the championship, and yeah, after that, I retired. I dropped the mic, and I left.
I followed it. I was nodding ahead because I was nodding along because I followed some of the some of that narrative. Your first episode, I can't remember the entire title, but it said the best and baddest female quarterback. So we already know that, but let everybody else know why.
I would just say because I was a real, like, I would consider myself, and it took me a long time to develop my game, but I consider myself a real double threat. You know, like I was a threat on the ground as well as in the air. And so, you know, if like the defense was running a really strong like blitz defense and they were, you know, they didn't have like a good secondary or they didn't leave people back in the secondary, then we would just like go deep, you know. So, you know, I felt like I could be in the air or on the ground. So that's why I dubbed myself that nickname.
That's dope. Because a lot of people that like me pay attention to the LFL. Like you had Keith Hack as I think one of your coaches in Chicago and everything, and great coach, literally great coach. GJ, if you like literally pay attention to the LFL like that, she had Quincy Hewitt, your best friend. I think you had Jessica the Ferrari Harris on the squad,
Chrissy.
if I'm not mistaken. Christy
Chrissy.
Ferrari Harris. You had
Yeah.
like she had Allie Alberts. Like she had like a team back then. I think you had like Heather Furr or something like that before in
She
Chicago.
was the QB before me.
So
Yeah.
that was the Chicago Bliss. For those that don't know, they were the New England Patriots before, like in the LFL and everything. Really dominant team and everything. But
Stephen A.
the
Vernon over
baddest,
here.
I'm just listen. I like I said, I pay attention to a lot of it and everything because I love like literally watching the LFL, the growth of it and everything. But getting into your time and your experience, you said you had to sit behind somebody before you end up getting an opportunity. Like, what was that experience like for you? And did that motivate you to want to learn more about the offensive system and want to take eventually when you were taking over, were you ready to take over as a starting QB at the time period?
Yeah, 100%. So I actually sat behind Dakota Hughes, which if you followed the LFL, you would know that she is one of the best QBs in the league. And I was really lucky to learn from her, her work ethic, the way that she approached the game, her leadership. She had all great qualities at being a QB. So I was able to watch and learn how she ran an offense. And at the time I had the mindset that I was okay with being QB too, because, everyone had told me at the time, you're Australian and you don't understand the game as well as Americans, and which is why I couldn't get a start my first year. So that was kind of what I was like being told at the time, which I was fine with. And so I just took that year. I took that opportunity to really, learn from her, learn the way that Americans play the game, and even just develop my game knowledge even more. Because at that stage, I'd only played one season of American football. I wasn't introduced to the game until, I was 20 years old. So I was just happy learning and taking everything in, and everything about the game as well, like how game day is, her approach to game day, how the coaches are, learning the playbook, even the terminology, the play calling, and all of that was different in America. So I just really took the opportunity that first year to sit behind, learn absolutely everything that I could, and I knew that when I got my moment that I would be ready.
Well, take us through your bond with Quincy Hewitt. I love the podcast. I love the podcast episode with you and her. I'm going to probably venture to the Jordan Howard podcast as well. He had a great first rookie year in Chicago, but that bond is so tight. Why is that?
So Quincy and we actually, we didn't know each other until we both got to LA. So we didn't know each other in Australia prior to playing together in LA. And a lot of people were like, oh, you guys are both from Australia. Of course you guys know each other. But no, I only knew her because we played against each other in one of the LFL Australia games. So I had heard of her, but I didn't know her. And when I got to LA, all of the Australian girls, there was actually quite a few Australian girls in LA at the time. Quincy Hewitt, Kiana, Ty Emery. We all had a similar schedule because we were what they call LFL imports, like we were international players, and as per our status of being in America, we could only be athletes. Like we couldn't have like a job on the side like most other girls on the team. So we had the same schedule. So we had more free time to hang out outside of football than as opposed to just only seeing each other at practice and at games. So then we kind of developed our relationship there, but we had always been like in a group setting with all of the LFL Australia players. And then, it was coming to the end of the season and I was about to leave LA, and I had like my last night in LA, like we went out, we just did the thing, like last night in LA, we did it big. And then I don't know how the night ended up happening, but her and I ended up just being her and we just vibed. Like we just got along straight away. And I was just like, I just know that this is my person, like my best friend. Like I just knew that straight away. Like it was just like a connection. It was a bond. And then, she knew that I was going to Chicago, and she was like, okay, you know what? I don't really like my situation here in LA. I think I'm going to come too. She called up the coach in Chicago and was like, hey, do you need a tight end? And they were like, yeah, why not? Jump on a plane. She was like, all right. So then she came out to Chicago with me, and then we only just strengthened our relationship and our friendship from then on. And we went through so many ups and downs together. We were roommates in Chicago. And, now we're still best friends and business partners. But that's kind of how it started.
Before you jump in, Vernon, you love to hear it. And there were some LA stories that you could not tell out loud. So,
there was some drama going on in LA.
we'll let everyone interpret it how they will. Sorry to cut you off there, Vernon.
That's all good. It's all good. No, but you and Quincy, obviously, because she played both sides of the ball, DN, and she played tight end at Chicago. You were the quarterback, obviously. So did, playing with each other in Chicago, that quarterback tight end partnership, almost like when we see Tom Brady, and Gronkowski, was did that force you guys a whole lot? And that's the reason why you guys had the chemistry that you guys did in Chicago when you guys played?
Yeah, 100%. We lived together, so we learned the playbook together. It was just unfortunate that Hack didn't call a lot of plays where I could throw the ball to her. But when she wasn't going off on a route, she was pass protecting and she was my blind side. So I had complete trust in her. She always had my back on the field and off the field. And yeah, I just feel like that only strengthened our relationship. We definitely do have a Brady and Gronk relationship, except I never got to throw the ball to her because Hack never released her at tight end. But her and I, for 2 years, we went to the field together. We practiced routes together. She would run routes for me, but she would even run like wide receiver routes just so I could get reps in. And then in our championship year, in the Eastern Conference Finals game against Nashville, Hack finally called a play where she could go off on a route. I threw her the ball. She scored a touchdown. Her first touchdown was Chicago, and my first touchdown throwing to her. And it was just really special. That was a game changer. It changed the momentum of the game and swung our way. And we were actually the underdogs going into that game and not expected to win. And we came away with the win as Eastern Conference Championships. And then, yeah, you know the story. We went on and won the championship. So that was a pivotal moment.
Hosting up, what real quick, what do they call that? Because I was gonna say hosting up the Lombardi, but that's not it. What do they call that trophy?
The
The
Legends
Legends
Cup.
Cup.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
Legends
yeah. You
Cup.
know, Vernon knows.
That's that's even better. I'm gonna say on the topic of Quincy, just to kind of circle my point here. Just talk about your business ventures because you have a business together. I want to let you explain it.
Yeah, so after we left football, at the end of 2018, after we had won the championship, and we did like a little championship tour, you know, we went to New York, Miami, Houston, like we did a little bit of partying, you know, as champions do. The kind of the hype from that died down a little bit, and then like the reality kicked in. Like, okay, what are we gonna do now? You know, sport has been our whole life for a very long time, and like we just didn't know who we were outside of sport and outside of being athletes. Like every day our daily routine revolved around getting better as football players, and then all of a sudden that wasn't our life anymore. That wasn't the goal. And yeah, we were just really lost for a long time. So she flew back to Australia and I went back to Thailand to see my family. And we spent some time apart. I think it was like 3 months apart, and just did some thinking and like soul searching, if you'll call it. And obviously just spending time with family because we'd been away from home for so long. And then when we came back together, that's when we're like, okay, well, I know for sure that we want to start a business. After living your dream and living such a passionate lifestyle for so long, we couldn't think about going back to like, you know, just a job which we weren't passionate about, you know, like working a 9 to 5. That just wasn't for us and it didn't resonate with us. So we definitely knew that entrepreneurship was the next route for us, but we just didn't know what we were going to do. So it took some time to find out, and we tried different things along the way until we found out what we're doing now, which is we launched Yabish Fit, which is a fitness app for women. And it focuses on, you know, working on the outside, the physical body, as well as the mental. And as athletes for so long, we knew how important working on your mental game is. So we incorporated all of those tools into an app for women, which is now free to download. So if there's any women watching, make sure you go check out Yabish Fit. It's amazing and it's free. And literally, we just launched our next product, which is a detox tea, which helps women with bloating and digestive issues. So yeah, all of our business ventures are focused towards women's wellness.
That's awesome because I feel like so many times as athletes, the hardest part is moving on and everything from your respective sport. And like, you know, you see like Tom Brady, he just retired after like 23 years and everything. And I guess he's trying to have to navigate and figure out life. When did you know that you were done playing with football like completely? And was it a hard process for you to try to like go into that? Because like, I mean, after like when you retire at first, it's like, okay, yeah, I'm done because of the fact that, you know, I'm over it. I don't want to get hit no more, this, that, and the third. And then later on, it's like, man, I missed the game, especially when you're watching some of your colleagues and other people in the league and everything. So was it really like a tough transition for you to make, going from I'm a football player to now I'm like an entrepreneur and I'm a businesswoman? Like, was that a tough transition for you overall?
Yeah, definitely. I felt like my decision more so came from the fact that I had a few concussions. So I actually felt like I was done after the 2017 season, after we lost to Atlanta, because I did get concussed in that game, and I had two prior to that as well. So three concussions all up, and I felt like that was the main factor that drove my decision to walking away from the sport, just because there wasn't a lot of research out there on the female brain and concussions. You know, there's a lot of research and that going on the male brain with concussions, but there wasn't a lot on the female brain. So it was a scary space for me to navigate at the time, just because I didn't understand it fully. And I did feel the symptoms after my concussions initially. They faded, which was able to, that's why I could continue playing. But I just wasn't sure of the long-term effects. So after the 2017 season, I was absolutely heartbroken. We had lost to Atlanta in the Eastern Conference game, and I was thinking about walking away from the sport that year. But I went home at the end of every season. I go home and spend time with my family. And, you know, they were just like, if you want to walk away from the game, we'll support you if that's what you want to do. I spoke to Quincy. I was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back for another season? And we both decided, like, yeah, let's give it one more shot. No matter what happens at the end of the 2018 season, we're going to walk away. So we kind of had that mindset going into the 2018 season. And so, yeah, we just decided that no matter what happens, regardless if we win, we lose, we're going to walk away from the sport at the end of 2018 and just give it everything we got. And it was actually, you know, we were just lucky enough that we ended up going undefeated and winning the championship. So it was a really nice way to end your career. But at the end of the 2018 season, and winning and being on that high and the way that it was, it made us rethink again, like, do we actually want to walk away from this sport? Because we felt like we were at the peak, you know, or like getting to the peak of our playing careers. And then Coach Hack decided to walk away. So that was a huge factor for me. I was like, I don't want to come back and play for some rookie coach. And a lot of the veteran girls decided to walk away as well after that 2018 season. So then that actually confirmed our decision to walk away. So there was a few factors, but it was really tough. And like Tom Brady did, he retired and then came back and then retired. I thought I was going to like do the same thing, because you kind of decide, yes, I'm going to retire. And then once you make that decision, you're like, no, I miss it. I want to go back to it. Like, I don't think I'm done yet. And yeah, so you're going on this constant back and forth, and you just got to like live with your decision, and then, yeah, just find joy and passion in the next thing that you do.
Oh yeah, side note, DT, somebody in the comments says it was like XX Thunder 4. They're like, who's your favorite football team? My favorite team, since I'm in New York, I'm a Giants fan and everything. DT got good news today because he's a Jets fan, and they just got Aaron Rodgers
They
just
just
about
got
2 hours
Aaron
ago.
Rodgers. Yes, I
So
saw that. Finally, the longest trade talks ever.
it's a discount double check kind of day. Uh, Actually, speaking of the Packers, we're glad that you didn't retire 4 or 5 times like Brett Favre did. He's got his own scandal. We won't get into that. Just Google Brett Favre. All right, so just to kind of get back into it, I actually wanted to reflect on the body positivity. It feels like a sentimental podcast, but I wanted to reflect on that, because you did mention, hey, like, you had some doubters, some haters within the league, but you did have some like fellow teammates, some of the ladies you were hanging out with, who reassured you of body positivity, of what you were comfortable wearing. And just talk about that, because it just seems like it's an essential reassurance. Like, we should all be self-validating, but when you get that outside validation, it means so much. So I kind of wanted you to
Oh,
get into that.
100%. There wasn't a lot of positivity from the league itself. You know, it was like a very toxic environment when it comes to body positivity, because they have a fat list. So if you're on the fat list, you're not playing on Saturday night. And as a woman, in your mind, you're thinking, okay, I need to train to be a football player. I need to be a great football player, but I also need to be like a body of a supermodel, you know, because if like they come and check and you're a little bit overweight, or your stomach doesn't look flat because maybe you're bloated, because that's natural with women, you might not get the start on Saturday night. So women actually got into the habit of stopping to eat. All they drank was like black coffee leading up to the game, just so they could stay as lean as possible. So it started to create this very toxic environment within the league. league. And then girls decided to be like, you know what, like this is just how our bodies are, and we're female athletes. We need to eat to be able to perform at our best, and we can't keep doing this. So girls started to change that narrative, and especially a lot of the veterans in the league helped a lot of the younger players just have that body confidence and that body positivity, and just being like, you know what, like when you're popping, you can do whatever you want, you know. And if they're going to tell all of us to sit out the game, then like it was kind of like a rebellion against the system. And they said they're not going to make us all sit out, because then there's going to be no one to play the game. So then things kind of changed a little bit, and the league had to accept that that's just how things were, you know. Like we couldn't remain super lean and all of that and still have the great product on the field. You know, it just wasn't realistic for a lot of women, because, you know, some of the bigger girls who play on the line, you know, D end, tight end, they've just got a naturally bigger body set, you know, like they can't be super lean like the wide receivers. It's just not possible. So yeah, that's how things started to change. And I was really grateful for my girls in Chicago, because those girls were such amazing teammates, like the best teammates I've ever had, especially Chrissy Harris. You mentioned Chrissy Harris, and I'm so glad that you mentioned her, because I consider her like my big sister. She was someone that's always in your ear, hyping you up, reminding you how beautiful you are. You have a beautiful body. And yeah, and it was just nice to have, you know, mentors and girls that you look up to who are veterans and legends in the game, hyping you up like that.
Yeah, I think that was the one thing for me. I remember watching like the ABC special about like the LFL. Mitch Mortaz's kind of like vision for the league at the time period, of course. And for me, it was like more like kind of like, why are you wearing this? And it's like not to like judge, but it's also like, why are you trying to like expose, and what's the reason? And I get at that time period, you could probably say it was like more marketing. Now there was a one time period, I know DJ doesn't pay attention to the LFL like that, like I do. They were like wearing like leggings and everything. I was like, okay, I can go with this, as opposed to, okay, nothing but a bra and booty short, this and that, playing football and everything or whatnot. But then it's like when I was hearing that, you know, like pale girls had to get like tan, this, that, and the third, or you have to have like certain like criterias, much like the NFL, like if you get like wear your socks too high, you get fined for that and everything. And I was just like, really? Like they have to go through all that just to, I think like KK Matheny, who played for the Seattle Missile, now Seattle Thunder and everything in the X League. Now they rebranded everything, but it was just like so like amazing to have that. But how did you feel overall, especially like kind of wearing like the uniform and playing in something that I know a lot of people would say it's like skimpy and you're really not wearing nothing and everything, like?
Yeah, so in the beginning, ideally, it wasn't great because of the reason why we had to wear the uniform. Like you said, it was for marketing purposes and it was for viewership and all of that. You know, they did bring in leggings one season, and they actually lost like 60 to 70% viewership when they brought the leggings in. So we wore leggings for 2 games, and then they went back to the booty shorts because they lost so much viewership. So that was the reason why we had to wear that uniform. And for me, coming from Australia and so young into the game, I was really shy just because I didn't have that body positivity and confidence at the time. But actually, when you put on the uniform and you put on everything, the gear, the pads, the helmet, the eye black, everything, you feel like a warrior, and you felt so empowered in the uniform. I didn't feel degraded. I didn't feel, you know, like a piece of meat that people were just looking at. I felt really strong and powerful in that uniform, because it felt like, in a way, that you were going out to war, you know, like you were going out to war with your sisters, because everyone on that other team wants to take your head off, and you have to feel strong and beautiful. And that's exactly how the uniform made me feel. Despite what a lot of people say about the uniform, I actually, after actually putting it on and playing in it, I didn't really have any issues with it. And neither did a lot of the girls in the league. And that was just like a lot of just talk and people who don't understand what the league is really about. Obviously, ideally, like we would like some equality and having just regular uniforms, but I honestly didn't mind wearing the uniforms that we wore. And when they brought in the leggings actually was like, it made you feel so hot, like you couldn't breathe, your skin couldn't breathe in the leggings. And so all of us were sweating a lot more than what we would normally like, you know, because of how hot it was to wear the leggings, maybe because we were so used to wearing the shorts after such a long time wearing the shorts, but that was kind of how it was. And yeah, they have a lot of criteria on game day that a lot of people actually don't know about. Every team is actually sponsored by a spray tanning. So yeah, if you're Caucasian or Asian or whatever, you are expected to get a spray tan before every game. You have to wear eyelash extensions. So the strip on eyelash or like go get eyelash extensions. You have to wear full on makeup. You have to wear a black or nude thong or G-string underneath the pants. You have to wear nipple tape underneath. You can't wear a bra. You have to wear nipple tape. And they just had so many rules on what we couldn't do on game day. And people around the league, they had like a liaison in the league who would come into the women's locker room, usually a woman, and check that you had everything on as per the league rules.
This is some like a league of your own type. Uh, like
I said I didn't know any
yeah.
of that. Now, as far as getting concussions that league, y'all were wearing hockey helmets with like the visor and everything. I remember I think Allie Albers ended up getting a concussion because she got ran over in a game against the LA Temptation or something like that. But man.
Yeah, the hockey helmets. And also our pads were just foam. They were just like, they weren't proper pads.
Shout out to Al. I believe I can't remember if Allie's the one that has a family now, right? Like
Yes,
I
yep.
can't remember.
She's got
All right, yeah, shout
two
out to her.
daughters now. Yeah, Ali is amazing. She is one of my favorite humans and favorite teammates ever. She is a beast on both sides of the ball. She's just an overall athlete and she's so smart. She's a dentist as well. I don't know if a lot of people know that
Yes.
she is
Yes.
actually a dentist by
Yes.
trade. Yeah, she is so smart and she has so much knowledge about the game and she was so passionate and I was just really grateful that I got to play with her. And I got to throw balls to her. She got to catch a touchdown. And yeah, I absolutely love Allie. Shout out to Allie.
Shout out to Alex. I remember, like I said, they had the ABC special of the LFL, like I think it was like years ago, and it was like they're talking about the day jobs, this, that, and the third. And Allie Alberts, went to school for being a dentist and everything. She got knocked out in a game one time period, and the lady was interviewing her and was like, you're putting yourself at risk and everything. But she played receiver, she played safety, for free safety and everything for the Chicago
hmm
Blitz and everything. She was a real key part of the Chicago Blitz. I remember Allie Alberts, let's say she was a really good safety.
Yeah, and she was also our team dentist as well. We all went to see her for our dental work. And after one game, I think it was in 2017 against Denver. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but this clip went viral for a little bit. But it was kind of like a video where the ball gets snapped back and I wasn't ready for it. And I was kind of like searching for the ball. I pick up the ball and I run and I get smacked on my back by this tiny little strong safety. Like she comes up and like hits me right here and I just fall on my back like so hard and it was like a viral clip. I was like, why does the clip of that got to go viral of me got to be me getting like smacked like that? But after that my tooth actually got chipped and I had to go see Ali to get my tooth fixed after the game.
Oh well, hopefully you had. Well, you were on a visa. I was gonna make a healthcare U.S. joke, but we all know how that would end. Hopefully she comped you on it. All right, so I looked at. I have Linktree as well. I looked at your Linktree. So I'm gonna smooth into this conversation. You have an OF.
Yeah.
We don't need to go deeply into it. I'm actually gonna ask not why, but why not in this current era where everyone's monetizing and I don't want to say in the dynamic different, like everyone's monetizing in a versatile way. So some people are personal trainers. They're actually using their body to to earn money. So I'm going to ask why not for someone who has a following or someone who has any sort of influence or uses their body to earn their living.
Yeah. No, 100%. So when I started playing football in America, I started getting a following. But like I mentioned earlier in the podcast, we were only there on an athlete visa. So we could only earn money through being an athlete. And we couldn't earn money any other way. So I actually started a Patreon back when I was playing LFL, because there was no OF then. And so Patreon was the platform back then, but then years later, and so I had like, you know, that's how I did it, like that subscription model behind the scenes, you know, you could chat with me on like a more intimate level and got to know my fans a little bit better. And so, yeah, I started that with Patreon, and I showed like my life, you know, outside of football via Patreon. And then years passed and I still had that account, and people had transitioned. Like no one was on Patreon anymore. You know, like all of the traffic, all of everyone was going towards OF. So I was like, you know what? Like I did Patreon, why not OF? So I changed it all over. Same model, same behind the scenes look of my life. You know, like you get to chat with me. I'll actually answer DMs there. And it's actually really nice to connect with fans and people who love you and love your game, and just it's just like high energy conversations and showing so much love. And you know, like there's this stigma around the platform, and honestly, if you have like people who want to show you love and talk to you about your career and all of that stuff, and you have like a following, like you said, why not? You know, like it's a great platform. It's something that I do on the side to my businesses, which I really enjoy. Honestly, people think that the fans in the LFL are a certain way, but they're actually really amazing. You know, I got shown so much love by the fan base in the LFL, and so many people who have followed me ever since LFL Australia to LFL America that still follow me and show me love to this day. And like that's crazy, don't you think? Like that's showing so much love. Like it's just so nice, and I'm really grateful for it.
So we've been talking about football for like the longest period, but who inspired you to actually want to play football? Like who is like your influencer in that?
Who inspired me to actually want to play football? I actually was introduced to the game from my dad. He had done a lot of business in the States. He had spent a lot of time in New England and Seattle. And so he had shown me, you know, like Patriots clips and Seahawks clips and stuff like that. And one day it was like a Sunday or whatever. He was watching the game. It was on TV. And he was, oh, come look at this. Come check it out. I was like, okay. So I came and checked it out. And it was a game against the Chargers at the time. And I just saw like this QB hand this ball off to the running back. I didn't know that that was the position at the time, but it was LaDainian Tomlinson. And he did this like insane run. Like he like juked to the side. He like made so many people miss and then scored a touchdown. I was like, wow, like what is this game? This game is insane. So my dad tried to explain it to me, but I didn't really understand it. And then I saw an LFL clip on MTV. And then I was like, oh my gosh, like women are playing this game too? Like this is insane. So I don't think it was like a certain person who inspired me to want to play, but it was a moment in time. And that moment from my dad made me like think about the game, and then seeing the LFL and these beautiful women playing this incredible sport, I was just like, I want to do that. And that's how when the league came to Australia, I was like, okay, I'm definitely going to try out.
Um, you kind of got into it. Long story short, you were playing. You actually call it sport too. I guess Australians call it sport instead of just like sports.
Mm-hmm.
Which is which is like I like that little twist on it. Yeah, you were playing volleyball and you were trying to do football at the same time. You ended up scrapping volleyball.
Mm-hmm.
You know, going full force into football, and the rest is history. God, I would love to. I mean, I have a dad like that, but I would love to meet your dad. Like just introducing you to that, and then you not because there's some like backhanded, not with him, but like with some dads where like their daughter doesn't understand it and they just give up. Like they're like, oh, she doesn't like this, and but you know, like you stuck with it, and like and he played rugby, so that's just such an inspiration. I wouldn't be where I was if my dad didn't show me like NFL clips of Terry Bradshaw, the Steel Curtain, Purple People Eaters, Doomsday Defense. My dad's a Cowboys fan. So that's just awesome that you have a dad like that. And he actually came to your first game, and you said he noticed that the other team was way better than you were.
Wow.
That's a smart man. I gotta meet this guy. I gotta please zoom with me. I gotta meet this guy.
Yeah, no, my dad is amazing and he loves sport, and that's how I grew up in a sports household. You know, my brother played sport, my mum also played sport. And so we were always encouraged to play sport. And yeah, that first game, my dad, because we played on a rugby field, which is the professional rugby field, and he played for that professional rugby team. So it's so crazy that he played on the same field that I ended up playing in the LFL. But yeah, my dad can also be a savage. He's straight up honest all the time. And he'll give me a breakdown of my game after every game. He's like, look, this is what you did wrong. This is what you did that you can improve on. But this is also what you did good. So he'll give me honest feedback all the time. But I love it. You know, it's good. Like, it's like I got someone in my corner who's always got my back and will give it to me straight. So
I want to get to like running backs like a little bit, because Krista Harris was like one of my favorites watching the LFL and everything. And I know DJ probably doesn't know who I'm talking about. Krista Harris, they called her the Ferrari and everything. Dopest running back, watching her and everything. But, you know, you talk about LaDainian Thomas and everything. Like, what was Krista Harris like for you? You know, you would hand her the ball off. Like, what was she like to you just being out there on the field and everything?
oh, she was amazing. Just her energy, her presence in the huddle, it just felt so calming because as a QB, you know that if you've got a solid run game, it takes the pressure off the pass game. So I always know if we couldn't get the pass game going, it's all good. Let's just give it to Chrissy. She'll do her thing. She'll get us some yards, and then like I'll eventually find my rhythm. I'll find my way to get the pass game going. So she just gave me that peace, that calming sensation, and it was just so nice to have her on the field. She was such a leader and veteran in the game. She knew absolutely everyone. She knew the defenses. She just was just an amazing presence, and she was like our older sister. You know, she was everyone's sis. I call her Sissy. And yeah, she's just like, I just loved having her on the field. And I'm so grateful that I got to play with her. Like, so many amazing players I got to play with in Chicago.
She was a tank, man. She was a tank. That's all I'm gonna tell Daryl, that she was like awesome. Everything
When you said
watching her was awesome. Like watching like LaDainian Thompson, Adrian Peterson,
Yeah.
like all
Yes.
use in that, and she had a mean dead leg, man. Like I'm telling you, like she can make a cut this out there, and she like, to me, like watching her like on YouTube and everything, she was seeming so tall. Like all the girls are having all trouble trying to bring her down, man. Like crazy. She like a corner piece of that dynasty.
She's strong as well, you know, like she would run and you really have to tackle her, like form tackle her well. If not, you'll just fall off.
Like a Marshawn Lynch figure.
Yes.
Or Derrick
Yes.
or Derrick Henry in this case.
Yes.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
My
Yeah,
father,
for sure.
my father's a little upset, not to jump in there because he just went to Philly. So that's a little side note. When you said Crystal Harris, I was about to be like I was about to be like that guy that like, is that Najee Harris's like distant cousin? But she seems actually better than him, actually, the way you're describing it.
Yeah, she's great.
Beast.
All right.
She was
So
the beast.
all right. So just to kind of wrap it up, I kind of want to just do two quick fire questions. I know at the end of your podcast you actually do some questions. Just take us briefly through your fitness routine and just take us through what's next for you just in life.
Okay. So yeah, my fitness routine, I do the Yabish workouts from my app. When I get to the gym, I'll do some form of cardio because for me, it's like a warm up, just to get my body warm. And so I do like an exercise from our cardio program in the app. And then as an athlete, I know that I should be lifting, you know, my full body. I really don't like upper body. I didn't like it when I was playing, and I still don't like it now. So if I can, I'll avoid upper body days as much as I can. But I never skip leg day. I always do legs, and I love doing legs. And yeah, like we have an amazing booty program in Yabish, and I usually do one of those programs. Like we have a lower body heavy day, lower body burn, or lower body tempo. So I'll do one of those days, and then yeah, I usually walk to and from the gym. So I walk to the gym, do a little bit of cardio, do a lift, do a little bit of stretching, and then I'll head home, walk home, have a cold shower, and yeah, get back to work. And what's next in life for me is we literally just launched our Detox Tea line, which is really exciting. It's available for pre-order now, but in about 2 weeks' time, it'll be available for regular sale. And just continue working on my businesses with my best friend and business partner, Quincy. And yeah, continue doing the podcast. Like, I absolutely love doing my podcast and being a guest on podcasts as well, because football is like, you know, my heart and soul. I love football, and I love talking about football, and I love talking with other athletes about football, which is why I decided to do the podcast as, you know, my little passion on the side and my foot in the game. So yeah, just continue to do all those things. They all give me so much joy and fulfillment and happiness. So yeah, that's what's next for me.
All right, there's like a whole bunch of people I can go on about with the LFL as far as who obviously you played with. Obviously, there's people that you played against, like Mo Gaxiola, Danica Bray, Stevie Snore, KK Matheny, Dakota Hughes, Adrian Purnell, Dina Wojcicki. I could go like on and on and on and ramble about that. Who was a person that you really didn't like going against when you were playing in your day?
Who didn't I like going against? Okay, I really didn't like going against the Dowdy sisters from the Austin Acoustic. I don't know if you guys know them, the twin sisters. We played them in the championship game, and they both played D end. And they are, you know, like you said, Chrissy was a beast. These girls were beasts on defense. They had speed, they had size, and one time they double teamed and tackled me, and that was probably one of the hardest hits I'd ever had as a QB. And you just got to get up. Like, it didn't hurt, but it hurt. I'll tell you right now, it really hurt. And so when I knew that we were going against them, I was like, oh, damn, because I don't like going against them because they've got the height. So a lot of the times they had the height to be able to bat the ball down if we're doing like a little pop pass over the DMs, if they were blitzing. And then they also had the speed on the outside if I wanted to roll out or scramble. So yeah, those were two girls, the sisters, the Dowdy sisters, who I just did not enjoy going up against.
All right, so to let you wrap up, you're obviously on this page. We'll put everything in the link. Where can they find you? Socials and everywhere.
Yeah, so at jellyj.c, you can find me here. I'm also on YouTube and TikTok, the same at. And yeah, if any females are watching, if you guys want to check out my businesses, it's at Yabish Fit and at Another Detox Tea, if that's your thing. So you guys can find me there.
I have a friend who's trying to do a booty program. So guess what link I'm going to send her?
Hey, there's easy connection and everything. So yeah.
Just before she goes, in her other page, I'm forgetting what it's called. It's just like your name. It says
my personal page. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the at to that?
At Jayne Caldwell Co. So it's just my name with co in the end. Yeah.
All right, so we'll put that in the description. Her bio says, I think it says real dope ass human, and we've learned a lot about it.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have.
Jayne, absolute pleasure. Can't wait to just follow up with you. And this is the closest we've gotten to a crossover podcast since I have not made the NFL. I haven't played since 2014, but this is the closest we've gotten to a crossover podcast, and Vernon's a true fan. I got some YouTube videos to watch, and you're a dope ass human.
Yeah. Oh, thank you.
Yes, you do. You gotta look up Jayne Caldwell highlights on YouTube and everything, man. Real talk.
But speaking of crossover, how about you guys come on my podcast?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Just let me know the time and when.
Okay, let's make that happen.
Do the words hell yeah exist?
Absolutely. Because I'm going to tell you about Daryl. Anything you want to know about stats and football and everything, That's the man right there. Now, maybe football history I can give you, but he knows his football stats and everything. He pays close attention to it. So I think that'd be a really interesting podcast, though.
Yes, I would love it. And then it's the flip side. I get to interview you guys. And I'll do my research before I come on.
Oh my God, are you? She's gonna kill us with that accent too. Because she speaks so fluently, and then I had an Australian a coworker. She was a lifeguard, and her accent, I could just talk to her all day. So we'll try to keep it short on your podcast. But no, appreciate you. You know, this has been awesome. This is one of our favorites so far.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much for having me. I
Absolutely.
really enjoyed it. You guys are amazing.
Thank you so much. This is Jayne Caldwell, guys. Episode 5. Please go check out all her stuff and everything. Dope stuff, dope content. And please go subscribe everywhere. Follow her on socials. Yeah, this is dope. This was a dope podcast.
All right, Jayne. Well, I was gonna say good night, but it's actually good morning. So we'll
Yes.
send you the link, and looking forward to posting this on YouTube, Apple Podcast, Stitcher, and all that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. Enjoy your evening. And I'll be in touch
You too.
with you guys soon.
All right. Thank you.
See ya.
All right.